What's up YouTube, it's Saiyan here, and how I got a video for you versus system aficionados for this week. Indeed, we are going back to the realms of versus system, and we are going to be looking at one of my favorite villains in the entire Marvel universe, really, for that matter, which are Sentinels. Now, I'm a huge fan of X-Men, and I watched all the old school animated series, the Fox Kids ones. And one thing for sure, when Versus System started, they have really managed to capture that artwork that animated series was bringing to us back in the early to mid 90s. So without any further ado, let's jump into this deck tech right now. So starting with the characters, starting with the first drops. One of the main reasons why you would run this deck is because of Bolivar Trask. I forgot to mention we're talking about a Golden Age deck here, so all the cards are Marvel Origins, a few cards are DC Origins, and there's one Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and one Avengers set, but you can really take that out and just make it fully set one era deck. So we got 4 Bolivar Trask here. He's definitely an excellent search engine for the deck. 1 drop, you get a 1/1. Don't really care much about him. Obviously, when you drop him, you can search your deck for any Sentinel card, and that's exactly what we're looking to get out of this guy here. Be able to search out pretty much anything we have in the deck. And we got 2 Mikado and Mosha. Used to be a fairly good, I would say fairly good to pretty good removal back in the beginning of this game. Obviously, you have to discard them from your hand, and you can basically stun a character with a cost of 1 or less. We don't really count it as a character. We have the 30-30 split really in the deck. With these two, we got 32 characters, but I would always kind of assume these cards as removals more than anything else. Very good utility though. Moving on to 2 drops, we got 2 copies of Hounds of Ahab, starting our journey with the Army Sentinel characters. I do have a soft spot for this card, I'm not going to lie, and I also have a soft spot for Ahab. You don't have to run Ahab, obviously, but it gives you very nice utility, and because you can search for any of your Sentinels, it's okay to have just a 1 inclusion of your Ahab. You can pump your Hounds. Your Hounds are extremely good final removal, obviously concealed. When they attack a player directly, you can basically KO a stunned character on your opponent's side, which is excellent stuff. And then they can become stronger with Ahab. And of course, Ahab stays relevant throughout the rest of the game as well with its boost ability. You can bring back a Sentinel from your graveyard. It's even better with the reconstruction program, of course, the plot twist that we're also running in this deck. Excellent card. Excellent card. Plus, I had this card since pretty much the beginning, since I started to collect for this game. Always wanted to put it into my Sentinel deck. I've kind of been working on this deck for, I would say, probably about 8 years. Finally just managed to finalize it. I finally just managed to take its final shape. So the only copy we have here from the Amazing Spider-Man, we got Mark II number 2, leader unit. This Sentinel is not an army Sentinel, whereas most of our guys are. Again, it gives excellent protection for all your Sentinels. They can't be stunned or KO'd by non-ongoing plot twists effects your opponent controls. Again, it's just a one-off. You can search for it with your Trask. And then one of the beefy things that we love about Sentinels is that you get loads of army Sentinel cards. We run 6, a total of 6 of Sentinel Mark II. Again, you can activate this card, Sentinel character from your hand, and you can negate a character effect that your opponent activates. Excellent card. It's good utility. It's 4/3 for a 3, which is pretty good. It's got fly, it's got range, so you can attack all over the board. That's exactly what you're hoping to get out of it. Really nice. It's almost like the backbone of this deck, or certainly half of it, because the other half of it would be our Mark V Sentinel. Again, we got flight and range, just a bit of an extra boost. Obviously, for 4, we get a 7/7. While Sentinel Mark 5 is ready, Army Sentinel characters you control have reinforcement. Well, of course, reinforcement is a huge thing, and it certainly was at the first couple of years in this game. Not many cards could take it away. Few cards could grant it. And it stays relevant again if you boost it for 1. It comes into play with 2+1/+1 counters, which is excellent. Especially we got 6 copies of him again. It's probably not the card that you're necessarily going to be searching out with your Trask, but again, the second half of the backbone that we are talking about here. Then going into the 5 drops, we run the 4 copies of Nimrod. This is a must-do. This is a staple for any Sentinel deck. 5-drop 9/9, again, fly and range. When it comes into play, if you control another Sentinel character, it comes down to play with a repair counter on it. And if it would become stunned, you can just remove that counter and just keep him exhausted. You can keep him alive. Very resilient card. Used to be a fan favorite back in the days. Excellent piece of inclusion in the deck. And then of course, Bastion for our turn 6. He's our main dude, our main leader. And of course, you gotta go with the EA promo. There's no other way about it. You gotta go with the full playset of the EA promo because it just looks so damn good in the extended artwork. What it does, it basically allows you to power up any Sentinel, well, not just Sentinel, basically it just says discard a Sentinel card, target character gets +1/+1. So basically turns all your cards into power-ups in your hands, because most of our cards, in fact all of our cards in this deck, all the characters are Sentinel, except the 2 Mikado and Mosha, but as I said, I don't really count them as characters, really they're more like utility cards in here. So 4 copies, excellent card, really makes the, really allows you to get the finishing blow into your opponent's face. And then running 2 copies of the top end Magneto, turn 7, 16/16, again fly range, and basically it's an all-star card. Stunned characters your opponent controls cannot be recovered. So once you stun somebody, that's it. You can't do anything with it. Now there's an argument to run maybe 3 of them. Especially because we run 4 copies of Genosha, and obviously Genosha becomes twice as good if you got a Magneto in play. But then again, you got to bear in mind that he's a 7-drop. You might be able to overrun your opponent by then if you're not playing against a prepared opponent. But you know, there's something to be said. We could easily take out Ahab if you don't want to run it. We could easily take out Mark II number 2, maybe a couple of Mikado and Moshas. I don't know. If you decide to net deck this deck, you know, adjust it to your likings. You don't have to go exactly with what you see on the screen. But Genosha, one of the best card advantage cards that you get in the game. Certainly when the game came out, but I think it really stands its ground, even with the modern era cards. One of the reasons why it actually got reprinted in Marvel Legends is that because it's just so damn good. Now, yes, you gotta sacrifice it as one of your resources, but let's be honest, once you drop your 7-drop Magneto, you're really not gonna need any more resources. Just turn it into 4 cards and happy days. You get a lot more fuel into your hand, and that's exactly what any deck would want. We only run 4 locations, we don't need any more. There are a few reasonable Sentinel locations, but none of them is that good that it is really worth considering running them. You're a lot better off running some really good plot twists. Plot twists were excellent when this game started. So we got 1 Flame Trap here, just to get rid of the little pesky 1/2 cost cards. Yes, you gotta discard 2 cards from your hand, but that's not a huge issue with this deck. We can certainly get a lot of cards back from our graveyard. We got Ahab for that. We got the reconstruction program, which I'm going to go through in a second. So actually, we can easily burn those 2 cards and, you know, just get off the little pesky blocker stuff that we don't want to see in there. 3 Total Anarchy. This is from DC Origins. On ongoing plot twists, whenever a character with a turn cost of 3 or less becomes stunned, you gotta KO it. So there is no back and forth with it. There's no way for them to recover it. Goes straight into the graveyard, and that's it. Unless they can bring it back, it's a goner. Do we care about it? Not really. What we really care about is getting our beefy guys down, getting our Mark 5 is where we really start to ramp into our deck. So if we lose our Mark 2s, if we lose our Hounds of Ahab, lose our Bolivar Trask, who cares? It doesn't really matter. In fact, you probably end up just sacrificing or using them as power-ups with Bastion once he's down, turn 6 and later. Best defensive card, Cover Fire, grants +2 defense for each non-stunned character who has range. We got 30 real characters in the deck, 24 of them have range, so you're gonna be able to, whatever you want to protect, you're probably gonna have at least a few good Sentinels down with range, and that's gonna help you to get that +2, sometimes talking +6, maybe even +8 defense. That's pretty much unbreakable. Very difficult to get through it, unless they can negate it somehow. And then we got one of my favorite cards within this deck reconstruction program. You don't have to run it in a Sentinel deck, but most people do, because you can return a character card from your graveyard or 3 Army Sentinel character cards. Guess what? We got loads of them. So excellent combo here, where we just power up with Bastion, bring him back with Reconstruction Program, and we can easily overwhelm our opponent. We get to turn 7, play Magneto, draw 4 more cards, keep on bumping our cards, bring them back with the Construction Program. I think at that point it's being decided. Now, it wouldn't be a Golden Age deck without Savage Beatdown, the infamous, or even probably one of the most well-known plot twists of the game. +5 to the attacker, turn 4 and greater. I still think to the day there was no other generic pump spell or pump plot twist that was printed which is actually more effective than this one. Yeah, you got some fringe ones. There's a couple of things that are actually out there that might grant higher attack, but Savage Beatdown has always been a staple, and it will always be a staple as well. Plus, check out the artwork. I mean, come on, that's just Hulk at his best. And then we got 3 acrobatic dodge. If we need some additional defense, it can be useful for our guys. Or if our opponent's attacking with a huge beast, we want to take some of that attack away from them. No, sorry, it's for defenders, so it's only for our guys to make them more useful with defense. Then we got finishing move. Again, it's ironic that we got Magneto, and it's ironic that we got Magneto where he turns Wolverine inside out. I mean, the adamantium in Wolverine inside out. Again, excellent card. KO target stunned character. You gotta exhaust the character you control, but it's an excellent finisher card. That's exactly why we have 3 of them in the deck. And last but not least, we got 3 Nasty Surprise. Again, a very good defending card. Just grant our defender +5 attack. It can, if nothing else, at least we can take our opponent's attacker, not just blatantly losing our defender. So, as you can see, I was going with the theme, going with the Wolverine playmat here, and I would say this is a pretty nifty deck. It was certainly one of the most consistent ones when the Versus system first came out. It didn't really have a lot of cards that allow you to search for any Sentinel. Well, really any card. You obviously build your deck around Sentinels. Trask is an excellent search engine for our deck. We got Mikado and Mosha that help us just a little bit more removal. Ahab can be useful, can bring stuff back from our graveyard, especially late game. Hounds of Ahab does double service, ping away to your opponent, and he also works as a 4th and 5th copy of finishing move. You can search for Mark II number 2 if you need some additional protection, but Sentinel Mark II has that already built-in mechanic where you can negate your opponent's character's effects. And then we got Mark V. Just really versatile, grants reinforcement to all his buddies. That's exactly what we need. A lot of resilience. Nimrod comes down. It's basically a 2-for-1. And then Bastion pretty much brings in the final blow. Magneto really, and Genosha is only cherry on top. Just to fill out the space almost. No, I'm kidding. You can actually sacrifice your Genosha, earlier in the game if for any reason you're struggling to get enough cards into your hand, get that +2 and just live with the loss of the resource. Again, the deck can play very resilient. It can also switch gears and be the aggressor. It really depends what type of gameplay you choose to go with. But I would certainly recommend you guys to take it out for a spin. Try it out if you got some friends around who still play the old school versus system. And if nothing else, then just take your old cards out. Appreciate the artwork. Appreciate that good old 90s feeling. Even though these cards are mid 2000s, they still bring back this really cool era of Marvel comic book feeling. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I was trying to rush through. I was trying to get the deck tech in less than 20 minutes, and I managed to succeed in that. So make sure you like, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment below, whatever you like doing. And yeah, have a good weekend. Peace out, YouTube.